I made more than $20,000 selling Notion Live OS, but then at the beginning of this year, I replaced my Live OS with Claude Code. Every Second Brain and Live OS I have built had the same flaw. It only works if you keep maintaining it, and it hasn't had an intelligence layer that AI models provide. Everything changed with a capable AI agent that has access to your files. Instead of me adding tasks and maintaining the system, the AI model takes care of it. So I replaced mine with just a folder of plain text files and an AI agent that reads them, writes them, and fixes them when they drift. You don't need Notion or Obsidian unless you like to use those apps yourself. An AI-powered Second Brain doesn't need an app or UI. It needs files and workflows that keep the files and your work up to date. In this video, I'll show you my setup. Near the end, I'll also share a prompt you can use to ask your agent to build one for yourself. If you need proof, I've been building Live OS systems since 2020, and I made more than $20,000 selling Notion-based Live OS. My blog posts on Live OS and Second Brain rank among the top in Google search results. I've run this new system every day for months now, for the app I'm building, client work, content, learning German, and even job search. Before we start, who is it for? This is a system that organizes your work, helps with management, and assists you with the work itself. I think it would best fit for entrepreneurs, solo founders, freelancers, students, and individuals who want a simple yet an efficient way to organize the work and life-related. If you work in a team, then you need to think a bit more about how you're going to collaborate and contribute to that system. You can also develop it further and adapt to your own needs. For instance, connect it to a Telegram bot, connect it to your email or other apps and data sources to enhance your workflows. Let me give you a structured overview of the system. It mainly consists of three parts: the harness, how the AI agents behave; the context, what it knows about your work and you; the loop that updates the system, the harness, and the context when you work with it; and a sync part that lets this system to live in a remote location so that I can use it with my MacBook, Windows, or iPhone. Let's start with the root of the system. This is the Claude's folder where it installs itself. I chose this folder as the foundation for my system because I use different devices, and as I mentioned earlier, I want this system to be synced across different devices. That's why I chose this as the foundation, and I'll show you a bit later how it looks like. So this is the root folder where the harness and the context lives. I sync between devices via GitHub. Changes that happen in the files get committed and synced. Then I can pull the folder from another device. If you don't need that sync between devices, you can decouple the Claude folder and the context. The next part is the harness. Claude MD, or Agents MD if you use Codex or anti-gravity, is one file with instructions that is always loaded each session. Skills, hooks, rules, and agents only load when you need them. The agent's attention is limited, so the system is built to load almost nothing until it's needed. That's the whole point of context management. You only load things when they're needed. Otherwise, you'll get something called context rot, and the bigger the context, the less efficient your AI agent becomes. That's why it's very important to learn context management. In my system, I fan out and create a hierarchy of instructions so that the agent reads files only when needed. That is also why I think that Obsidian is not really needed. It will only bloat the context and waste tokens. The graph that Obsidian creates between the nodes is also useless for the agent. The only reason you might want to use Obsidian is if you actually like the UI and you use it yourself. In that case, simply point the directory where Obsidian is located inside Claude MD, and the agent will find the files for the context when it needs it. Here's an example of the hierarchy. Inside Claude MD, we have the most important instructions that we need each session, and we also want to point it into different directories and locations. For instance, where is the context of our projects located? Where is the meta project is located? It's the harnesses project documentation. Things like spec MD outlines what is the system for, specific things about the system or how I like to work with it. The state MD, it's usually a file where we outline the current state of the harness system, things we plan to do, what we want to improve further. The phases is the folder that I will show a bit later that contains the phase files, because when we want to work on a project, we cannot simply start a session. We want to document it. So that's why every phase that we start with the planning and execution. And these skills create phase files, like plan files, then phase reports, and it's very valuable for maintenance and system management. Then we also have tasks MD that captures all the tasks related to that project. Then let's talk about the context, which is basically the second brain. There are 3 levels for context management: project table or any other relevant paths in Claude MD, which I explained a bit earlier. Then state MD for each project. So this is a project example, and inside each project we have a state MD, a roadmap MD, and some other artifacts maybe specific to the project. So as you can see, the harness itself is a project and it has these files, and some other projects like some coding project or maybe some client work also have this state and roadmap files. This allows AI agents to understand what is this project about, what's current state, what are the features, etc., etc. Every time you work on these projects, the AI agent will update these files, and the next session you start, it will read these files and get up to speed. So you won't need to copy-paste context from previous sessions into new sessions. And here's a bit about coding projects. I don't store my coding projects inside root Claude folder. Instead, Claude knows where are these coding projects located inside the state MD. Here's an example. I work on my project that is called One Who Learns. It's a language learning app. And I have a folder inside Claude folder, and I also have a folder, a coding project folder, where my app actually lives. So when I brainstorm about the project or think about marketing strategy or the business strategy or what to do with the app or how to develop it, then I brainstorm it inside this project. And when I actually want the agent to write code and build the project, then I do it here. So we decouple the intent, the coding intent and the non-coding intent. Then we have the loop. Every time you have a session with Claude, whether it's related to harness or a project, we have a session which is marked here. For instance, let's work on XYZ project. Then during this session, you gain insights, you gain new information. So you want to capture that. And you want to save this session output /work/insights in some way. And in this system, there are a couple of hooks and instructions in Claude MD that remind the agent to save this work and artifacts back. So when it relates to a harness, it saves it back here, for instance, in these files, or updates them. And if it relates to a project, then it saves here instead. And last but not least, reviews. This is optional. I tried to do a daily and weekly personal reviews based on the sessions I had with the agent, but for some reason it didn't work for me, and I kept forgetting doing that. And so what I did instead, I created this garden skill that reviews the work you did based on either commits that the agent made or the phase reports that it created. And it allows to basically do a retro analysis of what happened before and improve the harness. So this is the part of the loop. Insights gained like weekly, maybe you can run garden weekly. The insights gained from this process are fed back to either the harness or the project. For instance, in my coding project, in my One Who Learns app, the agent kept doing the same mistakes over and over. And at the end of the week, the garden skill read these mistakes and updated Claude MD here, or maybe project-specific Claude MD here, so that these mistakes are not repeated again. And thus you, step by step, slowly improve your system based on your context and your work. And here's an example. This is the Claude folder that I talked about it. As you can see, it has its agents here, it has the hooks, it has the rules and the skills. If you have Claude Code installed, for instance, and open it, you will see that you have all these folders there already. But what I did, I integrated my second brain or context inside here too. So what I did, I created a context folder, and inside context folder, as you can see, there are some subfolders, for instance, projects, and every project here are stored. For instance, let's open One Who Learns, and you can see the courses that I ideated with the agent are here. The pages, for instance, the homepage I was building, the SEO, the content plan, the search data. So basically everything related to this project is here. I also have a state MD that gives more specific information about this project and how it works and where is the code base located. And then I also have this project folder here. So this is the project folder for the harness itself. So when I want to improve the harness, when I want to improve the system, this is where I work. For instance, as you can see, these are the phases. Every time I plan something, I run a plan skill that creates these files, so plan files. And when I want to execute the plan, then I run an execute skill, and it creates the summary files and phase reports. And later these phase reports are used by the gardener to do a retro inspection. You can also see the to-do MD, tasks, state, spec, roadmap, journal. So you can actually add or create anything. The system is so flexible because the AI agent is very intelligent. So you can ask to create anything for you and adapt it to your personality and your needs. And here's another example. It's one who learns app that I'm working on. As you can see, it also has a project folder inside. And as you can see, there are so many different artifacts and audits and foundational documents, phases. Look, there have been 100 phases so far. And each phase has plans and phase reports. And it also has the state MD, spec MD, roadmap MD, and some other project-specific files like architecture. That's an overview of the system that I'm using for coding and non-coding projects. This system completely replaced LifeOS that I used in Notion. I still use Notion from time to time when I want to write something because I like the UI, I like the user experience of Notion. But 99% of the time, I work through Claude Code and VS Code. To leave you off, I prepared a prompt that is based on this system so that you can just use it and guide your agent and create a personalized harness, LifeOS or Second Brain for yourself. And there are usually 5 steps in the prompt. The agent interviews you about your projects. Then it creates all the folders that are similar to my setup and creates the essential instructions in Claude MD or Agents MD. Then it optionally sets up a private GitHub sync. So if you want, for instance, use it on your phone, then you sync it with GitHub, and then you use, for instance, Claude Code on your phone, and you get all this context on your phone too. Then it verifies everything and shows you the outcome of this prompt. I created this channel to share my experience and knowledge building products and using tools like Claude Code in my work. And if you find it useful, want to learn more about this, follow this account, and for your support.